uh, these kind of matters, these kind of aspects of reality. See, that's the approach. That's an approach. Yeah. And so there my journey's been journey to have my I have my knowledge and my approaches. And so I have these aspects of reality. So I'm the whole package. So I'm not interested in going out to find because I am the savior. So like, and I know all about the endless and like where would chaos magic originate from is in that I know like the higher level kind of magics and stuff. That is mm, yeah, Cupid, bringer, truth, truth, and my other documented stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Desire manipulates the feelings of desire within other beings, exposing it as a weakness to drive them to do whatever it wants. Desire has nearly destroyed the dreaming, the realm overseen by cruelty greatly angers many of its older siblings. Overall,
Actually, I don't
Desire's
know.
cruelty offsets some of the nicer siblings of the Endless, and it's fitting given that they have turned one of the most beautiful things on the planet into a tool for mischief. Desire's actions are often malicious, but they also hold one of the only distinctions besides death of calling out Dream on his many faults. And while they are cruel for seemingly no reason, they certainly aren't always wrong. The twin of Desire, and no offense, but easily the most repulsive of the seven Endless, is Despair. Given that she physically embodies eternal sadness, it makes sense that she doesn't take too good a care of herself. Despair is constantly naked and bleeding thanks to the harm her hooked ring causes her. She is often covered in rats and grotesque creatures, putting them into the dark depths of sadness with her. Desire was actually the first of the Endless to officially die, and have her responsibilities taken over by a replacement physical embodiment. Overall, her powers are dark, and she often teams with Desire for the malicious chaos inflicted on the human race, but her siblings can absolutely overpower her. She once even challenged Dream to a contest, trying to see which of them had more sway over the lives of humans. Dream was able to convince a businessman that he could one day be an emperor, and he was able to avoid the traps set by Desire and Despair because of this. Despair has likely ruined a lot of lives, but when it comes to the Endless, she's no match. Truthfully, either version of Despair is a sad and pitiful being who either causes great sadness or just passively watches it occur. And while despair is definitely an essential aspect of human life, this is one member of the Endless who you never want to get power hungry. Hey, Mother Night, Father Time. Next time, if you want your children to be happy, maybe you should start out by naming them something other than Despair. I'm no parent, but I would give that one a try. The Seven Endless may be some of the most powerful beings ever created by DC, but you had better believe siblings will always find a reason to fight. Which member of the Endless do you think is the strongest?
I'll answer that one. Yeah, watch this. Remember, guidance. There. Plans and this the shows I watch. see about that. Friendless in the endless. We'll see about that. It says in no conceivable way. And, okay, hold on.
So I can just ask you anything? Anything you like. Hot yoga or regular yoga? Hot. Why? Hot yoga is just... And I can interrupt you? Sure. Can you explain my career to me in haiku? Huge star rise, shining bright in every role. Team Sonic, together, there is nothing we can't handle. You're colorful. She has guardian shake. With a snake that you cannot trust. Imagine going to career day at school and bringing your dad. Eternity. Spoiler alert, but Thor Love and Thunder finally gave us our first full look at the Marvel Universal constant known as Eternity. Hinted back in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Eternity appears to grant Gore his final wish before perishing at his feet. Eternity then brought back to life Gore's daughter, now living with Thor and gifted with the powers of Eternity, making her a certified child of Eternity. Me? What? However, she's not even close to the first. Granted, all the rest sound like the setup lines to knock-knock jokes, but they're still some of the most powerful beings in the universe. Let's take a look at Eternity's strongest children right now. Entropy is one of, if not the most powerful offspring of Eternity, and definitely one of the most rebellious. One day, Entropy decided that he wanted to destroy his father, thus ending all of existence. In the ultimate apple falling far from the tree move, Entropy aligned himself with Genus Bell, and together the two successfully destroyed Eternity, and thus all of time and space. Genus, Entropy, his sister Epiphany, and Rick Jones were the only four beings left in existence, and needless to say, Entropy became bored. He wanted to continue destroying, but there was nothing left. Instead, Rick Jones convinced Entropy to try creating something instead. In a moment, Entropy then became the new Eternity, bringing to life the universe and everything. This was then revealed by Entropy to be his eternal life cycle, but more importantly cemented him as the most powerful of Eternity's children. Essentially, Entropy is the one who went on to take over the family business after their father was gone. You know, just after killing their father. Manifestation of disorder and chaos, and has displayed some amazing power, even though eventually he restores all of the things he sent into disarray.
No conceivable way.
Eternity's kid eulogy is a weird one. He represents things coming to an end, and usually
it came about, and I said about like what entropy, energy, and subconscious, conscious, and then on my studies and on this kind of aspect. So no conceivable way. Insight in the darkness within the approach would be in the kind of ideas within the spark. So seeing eternity would be on the kind of approach of apologies, some things are secret. Entropy, energy, and energy, death, entropy, death, what I believe the subconscious, and then like after death and afterlife. Sorry, some books are private. Some books are private. So, door of existence, power of God, past man, eternity. Eternity is time. So if I see an eternity and I am a time lord in spiritual aspects, yeah. And so on the actual approach of what, okay, so no conceivable approach on connections between friendless and endless, huh? Okay, so eternity would be time. Okay, entropy, death. Death would be on the kind of endless in the family line. Okay, hey, I got it. Some books are private. I can't document this. Some books are private. But yeah, no conceivable connection, huh? And just matters of perspective and pieces of a fragmentary puzzle and then decipher in a message. What I said prior about like the full package, understanding it all.
It off with some kind of speech. This means that eulogy is insane powerful, as he is even responsible on a meta level of certain comic storylines coming to an end. He has the ability to end the life of anyone, any civilization, and any universe. Eulogy took a different path than many of his brothers and sisters, and actually disguised himself as a human named Al, and worked in a comic shop on Earth called Golden Orange Comics. He was able to wipe out the entire universe of the owners of the comic shop when he decided to bring them to their end. He also was able to talk a version of Captain Marvel into giving up, forcing his end, believing that no one needed him. Overall, Eulogy has some incredible understated power, and at the end of all things, he will be there. For a very long time, it was believed Eternity had 7 children, collectively known as the 7 Friendless. Sad, I know. However, 2 new children were recently revealed by the names of Then and Now. Then, the brother of the 2, personified the past, while his sister Now personified the present.
Okay.
These 2 children of Eternity, oddly enough, have a lot in common with the trickster god Loki.
All right, see? See? So no connection. All right, all right. And what's season 2 of Sandman introduced? Okay, so yeah, connection and mythos. Check. Check. Correct. All right. So on approach. Okay. So now, now, and tomorrow sight. Sleeper on this dream, this idea of an insight. Okay, so uh-huh. Uh-huh. See, yeah, I am the full pack. See, the sage of it is then, now, and the mar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have. It is like a showing on unlocking, and it's in this site in insight. Yeah, um, yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now I continue. Okay, so the explosion of eternity, and then like the endless comparison, and so like the cosmos. Okay, so endless forever, nothing, something, and like the dreams and the ideas. Okay, and then the realities in this fabric. That's what I do. Okay, um, that's that. And so memories and reconstruction now in the present again. All right, tomorrow. All right, okay. And just and like yeah, yeah, and the prophecies in my prophecies told in media. I was still on that. How the sage is like what I say is throughout the eras is the Latin. I'm just saying the clarity is I'm approaching all of it is the fact that yeah, when I said something about he wasn't born, he was made, and so I'm saying I'm approaching all of it, and I'm saying I'm correct. I'm correct. 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 I'm just like I'm correct. All right. Sage. It's so my child. There we go. There we go. And that's what I'm saying. I'm made, and so my child, and so my yeah. I suppose my children will have a moral side, and this legacy that I make is a good legacy. Is a good legacy because I'm sticking around for make sure it's a good legacy. That's more aspects of that from this Holy Spirit approach too, but I'm sticking around to make sure my legacy is a good legacy. That's any wood, any wood, any wood. So now let's.
Overall, eulogy has some incredible understated power, and at the end of all things, he will be there. For a very long time, it was believed eternity had 7 children, collectively known as the 7 friendless. Sad, I know. However, 2 new children.
Hold on. So entropy is the known, and so what I say about entropy, death, and so the connections are remade. So eternity is up here, so eternity, time, and I talk about time. So okay, eternity, right? And so who's eulogy?
Eternity's kid, eulogy, is a weird one. He represents things coming to an end, and usually caps it off with some kind of speech. This means that eulogy is insanely powerful, as he is even responsible on a meta level of certain comic storylines coming to an end. He has the ability to end the life of anyone, any civilization, and any universe. Eulogy took a different path than many of his brothers and sisters.
So, that's like, what if I could tell you the things that come to end in certain aspects and realities of that? And what if I could say about a certain symphony that is what? Harmony of what is discord within us all. About a kind of concept of what is past, present, and future. About a kind of construct of time, and then I know it. On these kind of aspects in reality. And so, on the eulogy and the kind of entropy and the death, birth within the kind of clarity. certain passages of time in the kind of mind's eye immortalized a certain kind of construct that is the passage within the mind, and certain aspects in what birthed an idea of this kind of create spark certain insightful kind of delightful kind of works of art. And so on that kind of aspect in these kind of pools was despair, a certain aspect to not let go of what we love, and then we hold on to desires within this kind of tear. And so the fabric within this kind of winding is certainly a kind of sight within a kind of well, igniting certain fires within a will, a certain temptation that's exciting. Eulogy. Yep. Monster. Eulogy. Yep. Okay. So there was then, now, and eulogy. Okay. Yes. 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 Then, now, and eulogy. And so that's the actual formula for my monocyte. Okay. Yes. Yes. 30 minutes. Clarity. Thank God. And I'm just writing it now. Yes. Yes. It's a power. Then, now. Eulogy. Then now eulogy, whatever, I can tell you what things come in. And then now the present gift and the law. And that's what I'm saying. And the scope within the site is the eulogy of what will come to end. And then on the memories reconstructed in this kind of passage at that. And the formula of all of this and all of life's creation is a soothing kind of meditative, surreal sensation.
And actually disguised himself as a human named Al and worked in a comic shop on Earth called Golden Orange Comics. He was able to wipe out the entire universe of the owners of the comic shop when he decided to bring them to their end. He also was able to talk a version of Captain Marvel into giving up, forcing his end, believing that no one needed him. Overall, Eulogy has some incredible understated power. And at a long time, it was believed Eternity had 7 children, collectively known as the 7 Friendless. Sad, I know. However, 2 new children were recently revealed by the names of Then and Now. Then, the brother of the 2, personified the past, while his sister Now personified the present. These 2 children of Eternity, oddly enough, have a lot in common with the trickster god Loki, as they love to manipulate and trick people into using their powers. Starting with Then, he has the ability to influence all of history leading up to the present. He even did this for Loki when he found himself in the halls of all-knowing at Omnipotent City. Then offered Loki a chance to make untold stories reality just by telling them, showing the incredible power this young child of Eternity has. Loki signed a deal with Then, and therefore all of his history kept in books in the halls of all-knowing were altered to make it seem as though Loki had been a hero throughout his time. Several other heroes
And yeah, so like, not like he made it. That's what I'm saying. That's like really in depth on the decipher, but like on an actuality of like just down basis. I'm like, I have been like actually doing this family trail in like a fucking while, and like where powers blossom. While for a while, for a goddamn while. It has been a while. This one. All right, let's. So then is definitely someone who is in constant contact with a wizard. Then is definitely someone who is that's a decipher. That's a decipher in itself. Like where, yeah, I can do a decipher all day. And then now eulogy. Wow, I talk about a lot. I'm the original Time Lord. I'm the original Time Lord. I'm the original Time Lord. Oh shit! Chicken eggs, tit for tat, and stuff. Yeah, the must is the okay. Yeah, the must is understanding that because I'm talking about some fucking wild concepts, my friend. Because I'm talking about like the actual fucking like energy that this like yeah and generates a certain kind of other energy. Yeah, I'm talking about like it's okay to not delve further onto an articulation on that statement. It's okay to not delve further onto an articulation. Now it's back onto yeah. Okay. But yes, the eternity, and so like entropy would be death, and so eulogy, knowing what the law is and stuff like that. Okay, back onto these cup. concepts, because what tomorrow brings, and like at the what we say about the present, and like what tomorrow brings, and what tomorrow is like what we say, okay, and then like what tomorrow is, and then like the edge of creation and like the door of existence. And so there is kind of where I reside. And I like like the connections of what that goes to is like death and channeling this way, not like the actual like me being sadistic and killing people. No, I'm on the healthy heavenly aspect of channeling and traversing on the death ways. That's the that this is the articulation that needs to be stated. I'm on the healthy ways of traversing those passages. um yeah, because I know what the more is in like this the door to existence. Yeah. And yeah, so after that, the delightfulness of the day and night. Yeah, and then that would be in the twilight, and then the kind of guided star in this kind of wills within the work of art, and the work of art is kind of birthed from desires of the temptations to talk. And so sees within fabrics, and so on the kind of concepts within a setting, and so on that aspect.
Loki signed a deal with Then, and therefore all of his history kept in books in the halls of all knowing were altered to make it seem as though Loki had been a hero throughout his time.
YouTube video.
Several other heroes have actually struck the same deal with Then, including Thor, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. Overall, the ability to rewrite history is an incredible, and given that it's in the hands of a child, is definitely problematic to say the least.
Of the pupil.
Then's sister now works in tandem with him, though she is the physical manifestation of the present, meaning she can alter people's perceptions of events happening in real time. Together, she and her brother have the ability to change the future.
So then and now, okay, concept of this. So on the masking fem, too in depth on the decipher. I'm focusing on then and now. So that then and now would bring eulogy. So that is a point I'm saying. I see the model. So that's that. Then and now are. This is the hard part to articulate. Real quick, mythos. Real quick, right? Real quick. They're not born. They actually won't be, but there's that possibility, and there that's hard to articulate. That's then and now, because understand then and now is tomorrow, and so that's that whole point. That's that. Okay. Because in this continuity of the comics, okay, then and now, and that these are children not born yet, but they're at that edge of creation. So I'm just saying, on that spiritual way. Yes. Yeah. They're in the box. They're in the box. Those kind of beings are in the box. Yes. No, a little bit more.
Incredible and dangerous gift. Given that it's in the hands of a child, is definitely problematic to say the least. Then's sister now works in tandem with him, though she is the physical manifestation of the present, meaning she can alter people's perceptions of events happening in real time. Together, she and her brother have the ability to change the future thanks to their manipulation of.
So then and now, okay, and then the eulogy, what tomorrow is, okay. So on this concept with these two in particular, right now, okay, now is in out. I'm just saying they're beings on it is. See, they're called then and now, and they're beings that are like the thing I just stated. I just stated that. All right. Now, on this aspect of eulogy and whatnot, concept stands. Makes sense. Now, for an aspect of it, the children of eternity, eternity is time. Okay, now, like, now is see what I mean. Then reality. See, this is the cancer. So the organization of such magic is the reason why. And so eulogy, and so I know the motto, and so this fabric and stuff, and so on this actual approach is what I mean. Approaching it this way, because these beings exist outside space and time. Starts humans own in certain aspects like that. That's what then and now are. On like entity basis. Like that's like the whole point. The whole purpose is like me deciphering all this. I have my actual God formula. This is the whole point. I'm the original Time Lord because I figured it out. I figured it out. It's 4312. 43 minutes.
Gift, given that it's in the hand stated power, and at the end of all things, he will be there. For a very long time, it was believed eternity had 7 children, collectively known as the 7 Friendless. Sad, I know. However, 2 new children were recently revealed by the names of Then and Now. Then, the brother of the 2, personified the past, while his sister Now personified the present.
Okay. So that's yin. So it gets into that concept and eulogy. Then now eulogy. Then now eulogy. And I exist like this because this is the eulogy of Mars site. Okay. Those possibilities. And so on the birth and big bangs and recreation and synchronicities and the patterns and the projects see is the understanding of the now and then practice of magic within the kind of eternity. And so if subconscious is entropy and after death, then an astral and then projections and then kind of conjurations of what we can see, a certain kind of birth delight, a certain existence within excite, a certain kind of delightful kind of dance within a dreams, and then I might the kind of aspect that kind of loves, a certain kind of sadness that is on a kind of aspect that is just something that is not fully comprehended or might be and just has evolved into something drastic. Neither here nor there for me to dive further onto an honest observation. Certain guidances of certain love will cause us all to rise and fall, and certain desires will also guide our eerie thoughts. And so on the kind of aspect in certain ways, that is a kind of endless kind of organization of what magic, chaotic brings it. And so on this kind of a harmony and certain kind of vibration, see? And so the kind of aspects within this kind of clarity comes about on this kind of rhythm that I know is a kind of aspect that is the kind of desire to not despair for what love brings and just glow. And so on the kind of aspect and what this kind of universal sorrow kind of brings us to is just the matter of delightful that got turned into a madness, and then this kind of serenity kind of followed. A certain kind of paradise that was lost in certain kind of volumes, a spell, a kind of way, but a kind of remedy, a dialogue, truth. So a kind of way that could birth a kind of dream, a concept, a certain reality, and that's simply just from magic, can't you say? sway to new decisions and the choices within this way.
These two children of eternity, oddly enough, have a lot in common with the trickster god Loki, as they love to manipulate and trick people into using their powers. Perceptions of events happening in real time. Together, she and her brother have the ability to change the future thanks to their manipulation of the past and the present. Together with Then, she sought out heroes who wanted more time in their life or a second chance at changing their history. These beings all had different reasons. As I said, Thor and Spider-Man were two of their customers. Now even changed Spider-Man's fate, allowing him to live on and sacrifice himself for the greater good more often. I can do that. Now's manipulation over current events in the form of record-keeping books is an incredible power and has the ability to sway the future, which she and her brother do time and time again.
You don't have to stink and be alone, Kevin. You can use Old Spice Total Body Deodorant Spray. 24/7 freshness.
Ooh,
smells good, right?
That does smell great.
From pits to toes to even down below. Down there too.
Epiphany is Eternity's daughter, and has a very short stint in the comics, but as a child of one of the most powerful entities in the universe, Epiphany was handed down some incredible power. She is the living embodiment of sudden flashes of insight, meaning she has been responsible loosely to many of the most important moments in history, given that she has existed for an immeasurable amount of time. She is likely responsible for Steve crashing the plane, Thor destroying the Bifrost, and Scarlet Witch understanding that she was acting like a crazy person trying to destroy the multiverse. She may be only tied to these events due to her nature, but she has actually appeared in physical form and had relationships with known Marvel characters. The two that stick out are Rick Jones and a version of Captain Marvel named Genus Vell. Genus Vell was the version of Captain Marvel who, along with Epiphany's brother Entropy, destroyed their father Eternity. After the end of all time and space, Epiphany was actually one of the 4 beings who remained alive until Entropy took the place of Eternity. Needless to say, she probably gave him the idea. Epiphany also wound up having a daughter, making Eternity a grandfather. Epiphany used DNA from the original Captain Marvel, Mar-Vell, and created the hero Phyla-Vell, who would also wind up taking on the Captain Marvel moniker. Overall, Epiphany is very important and powerful, though she's more of an influencer than actually doing the legwork. Of the few children of Eternity who is currently confirmed to exist in the MCU, since his statue actually appeared alongside beings like the Living Tribunal in the Hall of Eternity. Eon is essentially the personification of time, and even oversees it from his own universe called the Eonverse. While Eon is extremely powerful, some of his greatest acts are choosing others to pass the power on to. Eon is definitely an heroic entity, as he is known to choose a protector of the universe. He has turned the beings Mar-Vell and Quasar into galactic heroes and granted them such powerful weapons as cosmic awareness and the quantum bands. The power of cosmic awareness is something Eon personally oversees, so characters who possess it, like Galactus and the Silver Surfer, need to learn it from him. Overall, Eon is a powerful being, but he has been slain and replaced in the comics hierarchy by his offspring Epoch.
Epic.
There is very little that is known about several of Eternity's children, but their power sets can be guessed based on their name. Take empathy, for example. Empathy is believed to be the physical embodiment of emotions and feelings, also insinuating that they have power over that facet of life. Empathy likely has the ability to influence people to feel a certain way. While Epiphany plants moments of insight, empathy is able to influence how beings react to those moments of insight. Empathy is responsible for the hate and...
Empathy in Epiphany. Okay. Stay with me now, real quick. Real quick. That's why I'm Love the Endless's favorite. Stay with me now. real quick. I want to talk about time real quick while I stall. So the kind of effect will yeah, as real quick as I talk about time, as I talk about this. So okay, desires and so epiphany and certain kind of yeah, real quick in that existence. real quick.
Loki's heart.
Epiphany and empathy in certain aspects and desires in certain aspects on this film tree. So eternity. Okay, so eternity. Entropy is death, and so we'll spawn that. Then, now, eulogy. Days and present. Okay, and then time. Eon, eon, and then that epic is his father son, and so there's that, and so now we got epiphany and empathy, empathy. So epiphany in the eulogy there. Epiphany is so on the empathy. Sparks and so we got the endless family up here in the desires and the tree that I'm the tree of existence.
Caused him to invade New York. He's also responsible for the love in Tonys that caused him to sacrifice himself to save the universe and his family. Essentially, empathy has the ability to drive characters to certain actions based on how they respond emotionally to any given situation. Which, if you've been following along closely, you've probably come to the same conclusion that I have. Yup, Mantis is the MCU's version of empathy.
Many things like an pet and ugly.
Enmity is one of the more dark and sadistic offsprings of eternity, though not much is actually known about her. She is the physical manifestation of deep-rooted hatred, one of the darkest feelings in the universe, likely responsible for some of the most heinous things done in the past, present, and future, is thanks to the rebellious daughter of eternity known as Enmity.
Something that my dimensional being knowledge can incite on that concept of enmity. The staining of what would be a poltergeist in certain aspects of clarity of what is past and pretenses of then, now, and the eulogy, and certain aspects of the staining of what is hard to let go and like love, and certain aspects of the desires within this again tree, powers and aspects, certain clarity. My formula again. Just understood in a healthy manner, not focusing on that, but as what I would say. And then, now, eulogy, and the concept of what is the kind of echoes that stain, and the kind of like aspect of what is in the underlying attribute.
All of the villains who have killed millions, destroyed civilizations, and sought revenge on the world's greatest heroes are all thanks to a deep feeling of hate represented by enmity. Some of Eternity's children make you stop and think if maybe he should have stopped reproducing after he hit like 5 or something. Only because there's only so many cool things cosmic beings can be the physical embodiment of. Take expediency, for example. He has only appeared once, but he is believed to be the manifestation of things happening quickly. In some ways, expediency does have power, as he is able to make things in the universe more efficient and timely. But overall, I have to imagine he's the little brother that all the other children of eternity just rag on.
Motion.
At the end of Thor, Love, and Thunder, we are introduced to the newest technical child of eternity, love. Gorr the God Butcher had to bury his sweet daughter after his entire people had been wiped out. Seeking aid, he found his god, who cast him aside. He hit like 5 or something. Only because there's only so many cool things cosmic beings can be the physical embodiment of. Take expediency, for example.
Expediency.
He has only appeared once, but he is believed...
Expediency. So, okay. Then, now, the prouder expediency. Alright. Then, now, eulogy. Then, now, Epiphany eulogy, expediency. Then no epiphany eulogy. Satan, destiny fabrics. Expediency, browser. Right, and then love. And the kind of, okay, goes passage. There's three. Yep. No connection at all. Yeah, I just made a connection. There's a connection. It's just the other part of the presentation. There's a connection on the whole thing. Eternity and then entropy, and entropy is death, and so on that aspect. And so then you gotta analyze the endless and the dreams and desires, and then over here epiphany, and then empathy, and then the aspects of desires, and then the parameter of expediency, and yeah, formula. I'm a time traveler in all aspects of time in this parameter. Parameter. Yeah. To close off this presentation with the love.
To be the manifestation of things happening quickly. In some ways, expediency does have power, as he is able to make things in the universe more efficient and timely. But overall, I have to imagine he's the little brother that all the other children of eternity just rag on. At the end of Thor, Love, and Thunder, we are introduced to the newest technical child of eternity, Love. Gore the God Butcher had to bury his sweet daughter after his entire people had been wiped out. Seeking aid, he found his god, who cast him aside, basically handing him the Necro Sword and transforming him into the God Butcher. Gore then ravaged the universe, striking down all those who believed themselves to be gods out of revenge for the loss of his people and his daughter. After kidnapping Asgardian children, he lured Thor and the newly appointed Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, to the gates of eternity at the center of the universe. It was said that the first to reach eternity would have one wish granted to them. After Jane destroyed the Necro Sword and therefore Gore's life force, he crawled to eternity with the intention of wishing for the destruction of all gods. Thor, however, convinced him to choose love over hate, and instead Gore, though he was dying, wished for the return of his daughter to life, and made Thor, who at the same time lost Jane Foster to Valhalla, promise to watch over the newest child of eternity, Love. Love is a bit of an unknown quantity in terms of her power, but she is being trained by one of the greatest warriors in the universe. She has already shown the ability to fire concussive blasts from her eyes, and can wield Stormbreaker no problem. Overall, she is
the child brought back. And so now back to Chris was in the staff was, and I'm saying Chris died. Chris was born, and love. Presentation.
A physical manifestation of a ruthless villain who chose love. It's just ironic how love is now being trained to mow down aliens with an axe, but hey, I digress.
Said it was going to be like a relaxing holiday.
Certain beings in the universe have absolute untold power, which means that when they reproduce, it is a mixed bag of cosmic power likely never seen before. Eternity is no exception. Which of Eternity's children do you believe are the most powerful?
This Arctic cooler is amazing for my type of lifestyle. Overbuilt, but not overpriced.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Wawa has personal pizza for $6.
Wawa has movie night pizza for $8.
There are obvious parallels between Verum Rex and Versus 13, but before Remind, we thought that they were nothing more than just references, a love letter to Nomura's stillborn child. After we got that DLC, after we defeated Yozora, it became abundantly clear that this is way more than that. There is absolutely no reason as to why he would reanimate the car scene from Versus 13, shot for shot, frame by frame, if they weren't directly tied to each other. This isn't just a teaser. This is a message. I'm not a die-hard Final Fantasy junkie. I played a couple of the games casually throughout my life, and I have great respect for its legacy. But there's parallels between Verum Rex and Versus 13. But before Remind, we thought that they were nothing more than just references, a love letter to Nomura's stillborn child. But after we got that DLC, after we defeated Yozora, it became abundantly clear that this is way more than that. There is absolutely no reason as to why he would reanimate the car scene from Versus 13, shot for shot, frame by frame, if they weren't directly tied to each other. This isn't just a teaser. This is a message. I'm not a die-hard Final Fantasy junkie. I played a couple of the games casually throughout my life, and I have great respect for its legacy. But it was actually here where I finally found the missing link and the ultimate divider between all Kingdom Hearts theories. Games called the Fabula Nova Crystallis series. So that's 13-2, Type 0, 15, or rather the scrap Final Fantasy. But don't worry, I'll be sure to keep on track and I'll briefly be mentioning aspects about the Crystallis stuff. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to start with Luxord and Demix. First of all, I want to give credit to Michelle from the Pajama Let's Play YouTube channel. She was the one who inspired this section in particular, so shout out to her. Link in description.
Impressive, is it not?
There he is. That's Luxord. That's somebody. I don't think it's debatable at this point. That's without a doubt him. So, how? All we know as of now is this cutscene. Luxord, Demix, Luxine, and Marluxia are told by Xemnas that the
ancient Keyblade legacy slumbers within you.
This can only mean one thing. If Luxord is a Quadratum native, then the legacy of the Keyblade War is an overarching cosmic ordeal that paved the way for all other world lines. Simply put, Yozora and the folks over at Quadratum are very much so a part of the Keyblade War just as much as Sora and the gang are. Notice the composition of this scene too, how the characters are actually placed. Luxord and Demix are on one side, whereas Marluxia and Luxine are together on the other. We know about the origins of Marluxia and Luxine. We know about Laurium and Elrena in Daybreak Town. If they're standing together, what about the final two, the remaining two, whose identities outlived the Xehanort saga? Well, with what we know about Luxord, perhaps Demix is also from Quadratum. Why do I think this? This goes back to the old Versus 13 trailer. Luxord is very much in the same position as the character Corleonis, and if he refers to Yozora as, we can assume he also shares the same role. So what about Demix? Let's look at the Verum Rex trailer from Toybox.
Spider-Man thing.
There are 4 characters in this trailer. Yozora, Aegis, Magia, and the Nameless Star. Yozora is an obvious parallel to Noctis, with the Nameless Star being none other than the concept of Stella. Aegis, literally translating to shield, serves as a parallel to Gladiolus, who bears the title Shield of the King. And Magia, unsurprisingly, is a mage, much like Ignis. Ignis comes from the Latin word for fire, and Magia has rare features. But there's one spot missing. Where is Prompto? Final Fantasy games have always had the tradition of 4 party members, yet we only see 3 here. At first, I thought this was a parallel to Sora, Donald, and Goofy. We have the sword, the shield, and the staff, a callback to the very first moments of KH1. But when you look at it from the lens of Versus 13, there is one more character left, and I believe the final party member is actually Demyx. Prompto and Demyx are scarily similar. It's a dead ringer. With the information we have right now, I think this is the perfect shot as to who Demyx might be. This could explain why they only have 3 party members instead of 4, because Demyx isn't there. But there is one more bit of info we have on Demyx. His translated character file for KH3. In this paragraph, he's referencing his time during 358, where we as the audience get to witness the dynamics between the organization. He says, I hung out with the old guy a lot. I think this is clearly Xigbar. If you think about it in terms of physical aging, Xigbar is the oldest guy in the original organization. But this line is the kicker. May your heart be your guiding key guy. Okay, who is this? When was this? I've heard people say it's Xigbar, but this can't be the case because, remember, nobody knows who Xigbar really is. He only uttered that phrase in Olympus in secrecy. Besides, Demyx would never refer to him as this. He'd just call him Xigbar or Old Guy, like he did in the other paragraph. If this line was referencing events from Kingdom Hearts 3, it could very well be Master Xehanort. Unlike Xigbar, Xehanort would have no problem saying this phrase out in the open. But even still, why would Xehanort recite this phrase to a benchwarmer like him? If I'm being honest, I can't see them having any meaningful interactions, if at all. Yen Sid is another character that you could fit the bill, but even if it isn't out of the question, we have no evidence currently to support that Demyx would ever cross paths with him. So that leaves one suspect, the Master of Masters. This is why this line is so interesting. It not only deconfirms the baseless theory that Demyx is the Master, but it may signify that Demyx has ties to Quadratum. Nobody else really adds up, except the very guy who coined the phrase itself. Maybe, just maybe, Demyx is somebody who had an interaction with the Master in Quadratum, either before he was recruited into the organization or after he was defeated, recompleted, and returned to his respective place and time. Or it could even be after KH3. Who knows? But now we know of his connection to the Keyblade War, possibly as an ally of Yozora's, and now with some sort of interaction with the Master. It further insinuates that Demyx is indeed a Quadratum native and a contender for Nomura's vision as Versus 13's Prompto.
And 31.
The point of all that was to solidify the uncanny resemblances to Versus 13 in terms of his characters. Now Yozora's story is starting to shine a little brighter. Speaking of shining bright, we need to address a certain star before we move on. A consistent theory I've seen floating around is that her name is Sora. I firmly disagree, for 2 reasons. 1, Yozora is clearly close to the girl he's trying to save. If her name is Sora, he wouldn't need to ask and confirm it here. And if by the off chance Yozora doesn't know her name, there would be 0 reason as to why he'd mistake them. The second reason, the Destiny Trio have met the name of Star. Riku and Kairi introduced themselves in Melody of Memory. Do you not think she would at least go, hang on a second, Sora? That's my name too. What a coincidence. The strange thing about this, though, is that she seemed to know who Sora was, despite the fact that he never actually told her his name. This might be an oversight, but this is Kingdom Hearts, and I don't think so. Perhaps Namine told her about Sora during her time in the final world. Regardless, I don't think her name is Sora. There was a point in time where the theory held some weight, but with what we know now, I honestly think it's out of the question. Well, what is her name? Well, why not Stella? I can't see a reason why Nomura won't reuse this name unless he's contractually bound to never use assets from Versus 13, names included. I know Square Enix have told him not to really mention Versus 13, so maybe he really isn't allowed to use it. But aside from that, Stella was one of the only characters who never made it, so there would be no confusion with names as to who she is. Oh look, we almost have a full roster. I think we know who the big bad is going to be, and if you know anything about Final Fantasy 15, you might know where I'm going with this. I'm going to link something in the description of this video. It's from what I know, a compiled series of leaks and sources going into detail about the original vision of Versus 13 and what never came to be. I can't go full detail here, and I won't for your sake, but if you just skim through it even casually, you'll begin to notice how peculiar details and plot elements line up almost identically with the lore of Kingdom Hearts and the cosmic legacy of the Keyblade War. I think the character we know as the Master of Masters was conceived from the remains of Versus 13's Arden Izunia. Seriously, from the crystals, the birth of the world, the clash between light and darkness, the true king, but none other, caught my eye, quite like the man that could have been Arden Izunia, but now may very well be recycled into the character we know today as the Master of Masters. Both characters are all-powerful, basically immortal, over 1,000 years old at least, and both put up the guise of a frivolous, charismatic, narcissistic walking bag of tricks. In fact, here in the news, it states Arden was portrayed as a silly and disinterested bureaucrat for most of the first game, and Arden is somehow the one pulling strings from behind the scenes. Not too unlike the final product, but the final Arden was way more charming and even aloof than silly. Arden is also the distant ancestor of Noctis, as it's later revealed that his real name is Arden Lucis Kylum. As Noctis fights to be the true king, Arden once was the true king, but was forsaken out of spite, corruption, and jealousy. What if I told you that perhaps the same could be said with the Master of Masters and his relationship with Yuzora? Both appear in the secret ending, aptly titled Yuzora, obviously
Certain kind of
Sky,
rises and
discerning
falls
both
within
Noctis
certain
and
creation.
Arden. What if the Nomura's
And he's
his
kind of
Arden and his Noctis
well,
played a part in
in
the
past
conception of
his
these two
pretenses,
way more
and
than
then
we think.
now
Now, of
in
course,
eulogy and the
before I get
most
carried
like
away,
in
I
certain
do
kind
acknowledge
of
that the leaks need to be
aspects in
taken with a
reality.
pinch of salt,
And then the
which is
kind
why
of
my show's tequila Adonai strip club
time and
and
passages,
early concepts don't
and then
fit
the
the
kind of
product. But if Nomura carried the soul of Noctis all this way to bring him here, then why not keep going? Clearly Nomura wanted to tell a story here, and although it may not be one-to-one, I think the grand idea is plain to see.
Go squeeze active with electrolytes, replenishing sports status for the hoopers, the runners, the yogis, and everything in between, so you can keep the fun going. Go squeeze active, squeeze out the best.
I found the one. Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Gel Cleanser. Gently remove dirt, oil, and makeup and instantly hydrate. Get yours today.
Arden was once a guardian appointed by the god Etro, who created a common enemy, the demons, for humans to unite against and end the conflict between humans themselves. Etro didn't approve of this and stripped him of his powers. Now, Arden wants to gather the remaining crystals of the world, creating conflict between humans and demons, causing Etro to open the gate so he can finally return to the realm of the gods. Now, how about we switch Arden with the Master? We know he's an ancient entity who's been a part of the war between light and darkness ever since he was a young boy. What if the Master was responsible for creating a common enemy for mankind to fight against? What if he was the true king, the first king, the Verum Rex, only to be forsaken by the very light of Kingdom Hearts that he held so dear? What if
kind of prophecies and children and kind of what I mean, and aspects in reality and certain matters and certain clarity. And when I say in this kind of And prophecy. Hmm. True king. And say these disciples in this prophecy. And this prophecy in this era, in this fragmentary passage in my formula, in this prophecy, I have a great destiny. It's a great destiny.
He wants to gather power to open Kingdom Hearts and achieve or even reclaim his godhood. This would further connote to the inspiration of Lucifer, the Lightbringer, who, once an angel, fell from grace into sins and dismay. Given what we already know about other characters and the connection to verses 13, I think the Master's role as the resurrected idea of Noxus's foil fits the love. Making the Master directly connected to Yozora makes the ardent comparison hold a long ground in the long run.
I see
Lucian follows one king and Luxor follows another.
I wasn't joking. I wasn't joking, my guy. I hate to displease you on like certain like
end video, right?
expectations and certain, but
the video is
that's the only
because,
ounce
like I said,
of
I think I know who he really is.
care
Not just as a concept,
I'll put towards that one. I hate to displease you in the expectation market.
We'll need to study the
on aspects of mythos and
first time.
respectability. I just like I watched Inception once, and I have an understanding of what like dreams are and stuff like that.
Aren't you? You know me? Yeah, you're Yozora, right?
How do you know that? Who are you? As we can see, Sora immediately recognizes him, much to the surprise of Yozora, who becomes suspicious and almost offensive. Note that Yozora doesn't recognize him, though. Let's continue.
I'm Sora, and actually, there's something I have to ask you.
Sora? You're Sora?
Huh? You know who I am?
Sure. I've heard of you. Now here's where things get interesting. After Sora introduces himself, Yozora recognizes the name and goes on to say that he's heard of him. This right here defies the theory that Sora is the name of the nameless star, because I don't see why Sora would be seeing Yozora from the Verum-Rex video game if Yozora isn't seeing a boy with spiky hair and clown shoes. I don't think anyone is under any sort of illusion here. They are looking at each other just as how we see them. But if Sora knows Yozora by name and appearance, yet Yozora only recognizes the name, then it stands to reason that Sora's appearance doesn't exist or isn't immediately recognizable in the world of Verum-Rex, only as an elusive titan. But I believe what happens next paves the way for my entire thought process.
If you're here, then this can't be the real world, can it? But wait, that girl, she told me about you. Maybe you are real after all.
Are you done? No, this isn't the real world, and I am here. But this isn't what I really look like. How would you recognize me as Yozora?
Huh?
Why are you using Sora's name?
Because I am Sora.
Every word in Kingdom Hearts is meticulous. Yozora proclaims a very important statement about himself, followed by two questions. The statement, "This isn't what I really look like," not only lets us know that he's perfectly self-aware and realizes that this isn't his true form, but despite this, he is in fact Yozora, because he doesn't declaim Sora's assumption of his identity. The next question he asks candidly supports this. How would you recognize me as Yozora? This insinuates the possibility that most people don't know he is Yozora, so he's wondering how Sora knows his true identity after having his appearance changed. But the final question he asks is easily the most bizarre of all, and clues us into something incredibly profound. Why are you using Sora's name? Why would he ask this? We know that he's at least somewhat familiar with the name, as he's also been told to save Sora, so why would he question if Sora is who he says he is? We know that Yozora is familiar with anyone else named Sora, but if Sora introduces himself to a stranger for the first time, why else would they question the name they're using? The nameless star herself hints at some sort of identity-altering fiasco in her universe. So not only can appearances be changed and taken, but names can too. Even if nobody else has the name, perhaps Yozora is skeptical because he's familiar with identities being altered or stolen in his universe. Yozora's next statement further cements that he really isn't familiar with anybody named Sora, but just the name itself.
If you are who you say, and it was fate that brought us here, then my path is clear.
What?
Yozora could have met anybody that night, and if they insisted they were Sora, he'd probably have no choice but to believe that. Somebody did tell him to save Sora, and if he was familiar with what Sora looked like, or knew anyone else using the name, he wouldn't feel the need to seek confirmation from a stranger. A battle ensues atop the 104 building, and when we lose, Sora is put into crystal stasis, a form of sleep and preservation as seen in the Fabula Nova Crystallis series. If we win the battle, we are greeted by the retelling of the car scene from Versus 13. So let's wrap this up, shall we? I've stated who I think the Master is as a core concept, but what about his name? I have spent an embarrassing amount of time deconstructing Nomura's naming conventions, diving into religious texts and ancient tales of gods and mankind alike. There are countless possibilities, with each one seemingly nullifying the next, but I've narrowed it down to only 3 possible candidates. However, let's address some of the most common theories among the fanbase as of right now. These are the names I see thrown around a lot, and I don't think these are quite what we're looking for.
Never mind. I guess there's no harm. My name is Light.
I think it's safe to say that this is one of the biggest speculations in the community. As the villain of the new saga, you'd want to set yourself apart from Xehanort as much as possible. So being the harbinger of light instead of darkness would set up for a huge change of pace for the series. When announcing his name to young Xehanort, we are met with a literal flash of light, and this happens mere seconds after saying this.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
As said previously, the Master's concept and the story seem to share similarities with Lucifer,
I'm
a
just
classic
saying.
example
I'm just saying.
known as the Morning Star or Lightbringer. Lucifer is also related to the sin of pride, or Superbia. But, just for the record, I don't think his name is Superbia, or Super, or whatever, because it's just too easy. And I honestly think it's more of a red herring than anything. Light, however, honestly fits, and I can definitely see where people get the idea from. With the events of Union Cross in Kingdom Hearts 3, we know that darkness can be its own entity, stating that the Master isn't always a friend. So what if light is its own entity, taking shape as the Master of Masters? Well, darkness is more of an unrefined consciousness than a living being. That's the main difference between darkness and whoever the Master is. We know the Master has a physical form under there. He has a definite identity. If darkness can use bodies as a host, like with Ventus, could the entity of light be using someone else's body? With all of this being said, I do think he's shaping up to be this omnipotent light wielder, or perhaps a being of light. If that were the case, perhaps he actually did tell Xehanort that his name was Light. But it's more of an honorific than a name, much like how Vanitas proclaimed that he is darkness. One more fantastic find by the YouTuber Damo279 shows that the building the Master stands upon in the secret ending is called Shibuya Hikarie, meaning toward the light. If you haven't seen the video, I'll link it in the description. Be sure to check out Damo's other amazing Kingdom Hearts content as well. So, Light really does seem like a strong contender. Well, here's the thing. I don't think his name will literally be Light. I think his true name could be something based on the term. Hikari, for example, Japanese for light, and also one of the main themes of the entire series, is more or less heading on the right track. Also something along the lines of Lucis Kylo. We know that he shares the same voice actor as Noctis in English, and voice actors being the same most likely means something. Again, if it's going to be based on the remains of Versus 13, with Yozora being named the way he is, the Master could be a representation of who Nomura believes to be the false king, the falsus Rex, which is why he shares the same voice actor as the version of Noctis that Nomura never wanted. A fake Noctis in his eyes. I digress. Let's move on. Rewind.
Never mind. I guess there's no harm. My name is Sora.
Yeah. I always think it's Sora. I think it's Sora, and I think the story is, and I think the story, is what I mean. What I mean on the underlining, I read the fabric. I think it's what I mean.
Perhaps the reason why
It's what
Sora
it's what I mean. I said the statement is what I mean. And mythos and all of its religion. That's what I mean.
And using that very name for himself.
Like,
It's an interesting thought. But this would also mean that Sora doesn't know who the Master is, seeing as how he remains impartial not only to Sora's appearance, but also his name. I mean, if Sora doesn't know who the Master is, then Zora might not know either. The rules of time when comparing the two universes are a complete mystery as of now. But if Zora's existence echoes throughout Sora's universe, then perhaps Sora's name is echoed throughout his. The Master being an alternate version of Sora seems to be the common consensus among many people. And I really do think Nomura will play on this in the future. Sora and the Master are connected, just like Sora and Zora. Hear me out. If we look back, way back, at the very first design of Sora, he was originally a lion chimera, the animal representing pride, the Master's position among the foretellers. He even had a crown way back then, and this seems to be synonymous to this very day. It seems like there's a cosmic prophecy of the king, much like Link in The Legend of Zelda being the incarnation of the hero. Sora and Zora could be incarnations of the king from different world lines, and the Master wants to become the one star, the true king. Anyway, at first I thought his name couldn't be Sora, because having another character with the exact same name as the protagonist is poor writing. And also Disney kind of want to preserve their characters. It's probably the reason why we haven't seen Mickey, for example, get turned into a heartless or noble. But then I remembered, Nomura did this with Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Ansem the Wise. And that was a whole thing Mickey had to break down into. Okay, so Nomura did it already, but will he do it again?
That's what I mean.
No.
I know that one
If
too.
the Master is using Sora's name, then he's only using it to hide his own. Even still, the Master did not say Sora. I actually know this for sure because HNK did an interview with young Zane's
said that on the
voice actor,
pyramid one.
Ben Diskin. The full podcast is in the description.
And then we take this Xehanort, Ansem, and Sora. I say Sora is Master Masters, and Master Master's story is looking like the bringer. We take Xehanort, Ansem, Ansem the Wise, Xehanort. So here's the story. Right? So I say Master Masters is Sora. So okay, and that's looking like that's the bringer underlining mytho. Okay, now here's this. Okay, Xehanort was here's the whole thing. Here's the whole thing, because Master instructs Lushu to take the key in his eye forward, an all-seeing eye in a sight. Okay, the void and the gap. Okay, and so now on Lushu, talking about it like this. Lushu, we're talking about it like this. It's healthy. Lushu takes the key in the eye and the sight forward through time and gives it to his apprentice. His apprentice is no, he does it from the sidelines. So he gives it off, and he has a different face throughout time. He's immortal. He lives forever. So the guy. So okay, so from the salmon decipher. So in the formula, okay, we're talking about it like this. Real quick, because it works. All right, so it's Masters, okay, and so Lushu is that immortality guy from like Salmon, okay. So Lushu takes the key throughout time. He has a different face in the Skinwalker Society. He has a different face throughout time. He takes a sight, and then the key ends up with Xehanort. Master shows up, talks to Xehanort, and so now Xehanort goes and tries to. Well, there's the story with Xehanort trying to possess Terra, and he goes forward like that. And so here's the thing: Xehanort tries to do something that Lushu does, but Lushu just lives forever. He has a different face thing. He just lives forever. Lushu just lives forever. That's the thing. Lushu don't possess people. Lushu lives forever. He just kind of just does a different kind of face thing. And Xehanort tries to do it, and so Xehanort is almost successful with Terra Nort, and so Terra awakening as Xehanort with no memories, but there's that battle in there. There's that story. Okay, continuing from there, he meets Ansem the Wise. Okay, and now Terra Xehanort is Ansem the Wise's apprentice, and so Terra Xehanort makes the darkness because the subconscious underlying dormant what's trying to reach out from Terranort. And so there's that dreamings and demons in conception. And so there's the make there. And so then there's that. And so on that point, there's Ansem now. And Xehanort tried to, when he made his darkness and what that kind of breached out, it was like the original Xehanort's darkness coming out, and he took the name of Ansem. And on this storyline, there's that. So now, eventually, that whole fucking endeavor, that's that. Sora becomes the Master of Masters, and this is the whole point. Sora's now in the fucking. This is the origin. It's the origin. Do you not understand? It's the whole point. It's the whole point. Master of Masters, the bringer, right? In the eyesight, it goes, and so Xehanort fights Sora. It's so. Master of Masters guided the key to his enemy, and so his enemy fought him with his own fucking sight. It's so he was saw. That's the story of Xehanort, and then the key ends up back at Luxu because Luxu was Brig, Zigbar the whole time. He was just waiting. He was just there. He's silent the whole time. And there's a story, and the key ends up back in Master of Masters Sora. So that's the story. Talked about it like that. Analyzing an hour 40. We talked about it like that. We talked about it like that. And we talked about it like that. Okay. That's that. Talked about it like that. That's a good answer. Yeah, I'm wearing the whole answer. Such a beautiful story. Yeah, I'm wearing the whole answer. Then this kind of asks, where certain kind of guys. I just described the whole. Yeah, I talked about it like that. And great decipher too. I thought the whole. Yeah. And I'm wearing the whole answer of like. This yeah.
Not lying. Oh,
not lying.
Yeah. No, I'm here.
Yeah. So no, I do know what his name is. But not that, like, honestly, even if I told you, you wouldn't be like, oh, this must be. It's not right, like it's going to lead into any.
Yeah, Now, before we go any further, I want to say that this is a speculation video, so please do not go on social media and start asking big names and bothering them. This is my video.
Master does too, and that's the whole point. It's the whole point. Sora does too. That's the
Master's name. But even if he told us, there wouldn't be any shocking revelations, such as, oh, it must be this guy. This is incredibly strong evidence that the Master actually has an original name. Here's another caveat too. Even if he did say his name was Sora, I think the name would resonate with all incarnations of Xehanort, and they'd be like, oh, they have the same name. Yet we see Master Xehanort pondering this.
Very many years
Don't hear
ago.
them. That's the thing. You don't hear them when it starts saying.
I never learned who he was. So perhaps I never will.
So, no, I don't think his real name is Sora. On to the next one. Rewind.
Never mind. I guess there's no harm. My name is Yuzora.
This is more or less the same deal with Sora's name. However, if this is the name he's taken, Xehanort would have nobody else to associate him with, and there'd be no issue. But if we are led to believe that the Master has been residing in Quadratum, then all of a sudden this name bears
going about saying, so you got your butt.
We know
Very
Yuzora
situation.
is not in his true form. What if the body the Master is in right now
Xehanort's using the fucking.
using
That's what I'm saying.
powers and his
Regalia of
name
one's own
as the
self.
true king, and is now
A
slandering
regalia
his
of
goodwill
one's own
across
self
all
in the
time
eye
and
throughout
space?
time.
This proposes he would have had to somehow remove Yuzora from his own body and place him into this Riku,
146.
thus taking the vacant spot for himself.
Yes.
Keep in mind that this theory both works for an original character and
It's
also an
1058.
entity of light. One interesting thing to point out is that Yuzora has heterochromia, with one blue eye and one red. This is an obvious callback to Noctis, as he originally had blue eyes, but when he uses his powers, they turn red. What if the Master stole Yuzora's
I just
eye
walked through
and placed
existence,
it
my
in
friend.
meaning? What if
So-
Yuzora's eye is always red because its powers are constantly in
So-
use through the no-name Keyblade? It's another
That's all.
I think the Master using
I-
Yuzora actually works out a little more than using Sora.
I have
Even still, I don't think
this
Yuzora is the name we're looking for.
on,
We're
on
looking
that
for
aspect.
the real
And
name of this
I'm
guy.
just saying.
So, let's
Yes, there
rewind.
we go. Yes.
We've discussed
Talked
three
about it like
candidates for
this.
a title he could be using temporarily. So the next ones are what I believe to be the top three contenders for the Master's real name.
Never mind. I guess there's no harm. My name is Soul.
Yeah.
If you're going to build up a new villain after the fall of Xehanort, you're going to want to give your new villain their own identity and name, far away from the pre-established threats we already know. These mere 3 letters have a ton of meaning. Almost all names in Kingdom Hearts share the same connection in roots of Latin, Japanese, Greek, Norse, and so on, so I don't see why the Master's name would be any different. Nomura is kinda taking liberties with mythological names. The name Sol can have a few meanings. Firstly, Sol is straight up the Latin word for sun. Of course, not only are the terms morning star, shining one, and light bringer synonymous with Lucifer, but also the sun and planet Venus, the planet most visible when the sun rises at daybreak. But the name Sol has ties to Norse mythology, Roman mythology, the Bible. I mean, take the name Solomon from the Old Testament, for example. He is described as a wise king of the united monarchy, which broke apart into the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah shortly after his death. But after he sinned through idolatry, the act of seeing someone or something as a god, he led the kingdom to be split into 2, and Solomon came to be known as a magician and an exorcist. Doesn't this sound like the Master to a T? One more nail in the coffin is how you actually say the name Sol in Japanese. The name would be Soru, a name eerily...
I understand it. I understand it, but
Sora.
yeah.
The sky, the night sky, and the sun that cascades over them both. I think this possibility is incredibly poetic and makes so much sense given how Nomura names his characters. Now let's move on to the second name. I was actually set on this name in particular for about maybe 6 months. Everything seemed to fall into place the more I read, and it's ironically one of the darkest things I've ever found. Let's rewind.
Never mind. I guess there's no harm. My name is Moloch.
Moloch went by many names and was often interpreted by many different religions as being everything from a savior all the way to a predator. Moloch translates to king, lord, and master. The Master of Masters Japanese voice actor is the same as Type Zero's variant king, whereas his English voice actor also voices Noctis, the true king. In Moloch's plethora of altering script,
And all of this, all of what he just said is the same fucking thing. So yeah, Masters definitely Sora. Definitely on deciphering and just an astute glance. And so on the aspect of, because Kingdom Hearts has time travel, and there that is the most honest decipher. And it's just the most honest decipher. The void, the sight, and then like, okay, eternity, entropy, and this cosmic formula, all on all ends of my basis of my scripture. Planets and all right, and entropy, and then the formula, then now epiphany, eulogy, and the parameter of what is. I'll rewatch it. But like it's that, yeah. And then the empathy. Oh, expediency, a parameter of expediency, and yeah, I'll rewatch it. The fast acting of then, now, and time concepts. Oh crap! I'm not one. I just said something. It's the fast acting of it. Expediency. Yeah, there we go. And so that's that one. Yeah, quickly done, real quick, and the parameter of expediency, and then there's the empathy and epiphany, which would be in the desires, which is in the spark of voice dreams, and then the whole story, I just talked about in this prophecy of time, and the children in this legacy is something I just really mean. I really mean. Yeah. Cool. That's it's very cool. Cool. All right.
And backgrounds, one even bears the title of the King of Kings. And, well, I think you know where I went from there. Others would be God of creation and fertility, and with his Hebrew interpretation specifically, well, this is where it gets kind of gruesome, a god of war who is worshipped and given child sacrifices, and is often portrayed with 7 doors on his chest. Could these doors represent the 7 deadly sins he's been associated with? And could the Keyblade War fuel the sacrifices he needs in order to set his plans in motion? Another title associated with this god is a false god, a false king.
It's the action and dialogue. It's certain other just stuff. Just nope. Because I'm right about what my thing.
Astrum is an alternate Latin term for star. But hang on, isn't that stellar? Actually, there's a difference. Stellar is a literal term, but astrum is a selective term.
The prophecy is true.
Heaven,
so, like,
immortal, planet, harkening back to Lucifer's connection to the planet Venus, the sun, and sky. Every single possible meaning that this word has fits in with everything we've talked about. And it gets even crazier. Like many Latin terms, they can be slightly altered to elaborate a meaning, but still have the same root. For example, Kylum can be Kale, Kyle, or Kylus, but still pretty much mean the same thing. If the Master as a character is based on the Mirror's original vision for Arden, let's take a look at what the name Arden means. The phrase Valley of the Eagle. Okay? Another word for Astrum is Astoria, which is still a definition for star, but can also mean the phrase like a hawk.
Okay. Now, as many people said, my original tower was done. No, it's just to understand this concept, the key and all this other stuff. All right, so the hawk. All right. So the hawk point on my outline. So I watched Inception once. And then the names and well, like I said, personifications and outlines and all of this. And when this isn't understood correctly, it does something else that's like already like that. But like I'm just saying, I understand it correctly. So I was just like, that. And I just know Master Sora. And the story is exactly how I said. Masters gave his key to Lucius, so sight and all seeing eye, and this kind of like the void in this kind of like way is in like a parameter of a set of what is a legacy of Legion offspring, and so it's the prophecy. Yeah, the whole prophecy. Yeah, so like my prophecy is told in like many ways, and it's just like that. My creation is this was it. When's in my time, like and I'm just saying, I made a I have things, so I just like I stick around, and I'm just that's the whole point. That is the whole point, by the way. I stick around. And that's and so Lushu as the thing, and the old boy, he just faces Scubar thing, and then like he ends up in Xanor's hands. Xanor ended up making like this, like because Xanor, like by like this whole parameter of Xanor had Xanor try to do a whole like same thing on like a different basis of living forever, and like I talk about the immortality thing about just like everything. So yeah, and then the key ends up back in Lucius hands, and so yeah, and so this point of Masters is the whole aspect. Master is that's the whole point. That is the whole point. And then so I'm wearing the whole answer on that. Like Sora is Master, and the Master is the bringer story, and like the savior, and like this whole thing. Life resets, bangs, tablets, everything. I know it from this, all of this, and then when Cypher goes from regalia of one's what regalia of one's own self. That's what Master did. Regalia of one's own self. The sight. Okay, so there we go. There's a healthy one too. And if I analyze on the Norse way on this, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I analyze it as like the bringer. Okay, so that's the favorite. Okay, so working backwards. Okay, where was the outlier? Where was the outlier? Because the outline works. Like I'm saying, a formula for like a bringer. Like I'm saying a formula for like an angel of like favoritisms is certainly I'm preaching to like some choir. I'm preaching to some choir on certain aspects, but like I'm just saying, okay, where was the fault within the stars? Because I'm saying a marker star. I'm saying a guidance right now. I'm saying a spark of inspiration. But like, okay, so there's that sight. Okay, I glanced at the North thing, the sight, and the slumber. Okay, so that's rejuvenation and healing. Okay, so it's the okay, like maybe it's not, but maybe it could be, maybe it is, and maybe it won't. Maybe it's a formula I say, maybe it's something. It's like a sight, a slumber, and then like these kind of concepts like no other. It's just like that kind of scope. It's the ideas and the dreams and the kind of eyes and perceptions of like what is reality. And so on that aspect, it is just like okay, slumber, and then did it have an rejuvenation and legend of Phoenix? And so the slumber is rejuvenation, so atomic particle, okay, and then like restoration, okay, and then the reconstruction, okay, and so kind of slumber, okay, and a concept like no other, a concept like no other, okay, so slumber and then the bleed over on the kind of festival and the dreams and the god aspect, and so on the kind of restoration in certain aspects like no other, the 1 2 3s and particles and the kind of virus and certain life. I just made I made I made a thing and I made a thing and I kind of and I just kind of stick around. I stick around and I kind of so then now on the kind of aspect and so master. Okay, so yeah, on that aspect of the universe, so on that kind of threaded site, it is a scope and these possibilities, and then the delight, an igniteful kind of start and a spark, and then kind of crafts certain crafts and that kind of aspect in it all so the morals, right? And like the okay, and the kind of remembrance, okay, and the guidance. So anyways, okay, yeah, back to the topic. Okay, so on the kind of site within it, okay, I made a film, actually really creative, expressing what it would look like, the passages. I'm just returning Bible. Like I'm just that's kind of like the perspective of what it creatively face value looked like. And so it's the aspect of less like paths and outlines of like certain kind of fabrics in certain ways. Okay, so and then the flip side. Okay, I'm jotting out. Back to the master. So it is a lot of it's a lot. It's a lot. It's of the utmost of importance why I stick around to the angels some like all the time. It's a lot. It's like now and then and eulogies and wills and fires. It's a lot. And so I kind of yeah, it's a lot. So on that aspect, time capsule theory. And the matters of this kind of way, my friend, is this. The aspect of what I create in certain aspects of this reality, in certain articulations, hieroglyphs, remembrance, and certain aspects of what reality is, of what kind of ways past and pretense. So, on the aspect of what I mean, of what I simply say the morrow brings. And so, light in all of this and aspects of what I say, and the kind of concepts of like regalia of one's own self, and then the creation that makes a certain aspect that goes back into time capsule theory that I mean, and then the aspect of what I mean of certain historic kind of ways and motions that I speak. And so on these kind of aspects in certain ways of what I simply mean, face value aspect is certain clarities. And that is just what I mean on a spiritual kind of endeavor and aspects like no other that stand the test of time. And then, like in this kind of way, on an aspect that comes back in certain aspects in my way, but on this kind of way, I mean, on the aspects of slowness and this kind of clarity. My formula and originating point of it all, and then the kind of mythos and the fabrics of it all. Certain pictures and certain graphs in certain ways, and then I mean at that certain kind of, well, I meant a certain aspect articulation. And so it's just a minor understanding. It's understanding misunderstanding of what I meant, of what I'm speaking of, is actually a thing in this clarity of what is, some may say, intervention in divine speak. The aspect in what I said, clarity of originality at that, and the aspects of what I mean in the great bangs and resets and pariahs and speaketh, and I see on aspects of like reality and like understanding of like what I meant, of like these kind of well, the fabrics unwinding in certain traversals, and certainly what I mean, that's why there's no uh room for error in my professionality. What I meant is this aspect of what I make. Um, is this concept of the the actual aspect, and what I meant, what I just fucking mean, what I mean. What do I have to say? Like the aspect is very clear. I just described in the only way I could on an aspect of what, like seriously, the only way I could describe that. Moving on past that statement, the only way I could describe that, what I just like meant. And so again, on like outlines and certain script, that's what I mean. The whole point is the aspect. The whole point is the aspect. Worked. 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 This kind of aspect worked in many ways and more. So many ways. So many ways this aspect worked. Not like that, like that. Some people are getting that quick, fast like that because that's the hills of eyes and that certain aspect. But I'm saying it worked. It is not a matter of debate. It's a matter of my formula was flawless. Say, the kind of aspects that I really meant on just it's like that. Out of sight, out of mind, and then just this matter of like, okay, all right, all right, and, and it's bad, and that's all it is. That's all it is, and it's a matter of that. All right, and there's certain pictures that appear and certain remembrances, crystal clear. And kind of, I take it so far back. I could. That's the whole. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I have to. I have to. Um. 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 Yeah, I plead the fifth because I keep on speaking. It gets into the actual thing. I am the original time traveler. There's no documentation on like me. Is the whole point. Is yeah. The whole point is that. The whole point is that. I'm understanding something about like a thing, but like the whole point of like I see like the motto. That's like the whole point. Oh my god, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That is the whole point. It worked. It worked. The whole aspect worked more than it should have. It worked on a weird effect. It worked on a weird effect. Um, I say aspects of like what would be reality of what is after death and life and all the concepts of perceptions within clarity, the aspects of what the kind of the guidance of directions to certain marker points is a concept within itself, within this kind of Again, I watched Inception once on certain aspects in certain ways, but there's clarity of certain aspects at certain points within the scene. Okay, so this number is a kind of cytoscope in a kind of way. Again, it's just on that aspect in an approach that I simply outlined. I deciphered my prophecy. I deciphered my prophecy. I deciphered my whole prophecy, and it's just a matter of, because that's the great. If I discovered it, that's the whole point. I lived for a very long time, and that is the whole point. A very long time, and that is the whole aspect. I understood something. It's the whole point. Reset ability of mine. That is the point. The whole point is that I have actually, because that's what I'm saying. Then now, Epiphany, then now Epiphany gains of expediency, Epiphany and desires within this wheel web. That makes certain aspects. It's true. It's the great reason. It's the great reason. The fun fact is it's the great reset. The whole thing is a great reset. That's the whole thing. Like the formula itself and connections with everything is the great reset. That's at the end of my little so that's the whole thing. My time traversal takes me to an evolutionary advancement. It's the great reset in its entirety. It's what those projections realities make, and then the whole aspect. It's the whole aspect in itself. The whole aspect in itself. It's the whole aspect. So I made something. That's what I'm saying. It's the whole point. It's the whole aspect. And that gets put. That's the whole aspect. That's the magic. It's magic. It's magic. It's magic. And it's not even magic. That's it's magic. It is magic. It is magic. It is magic. And there's nothing that like really like that's I am I can actually do something. That's the whole point. I can actually do something. And there's the whole aspect that stuff occurs and at rate it occurs on many different ways. And something about this. That's why. That's the whole point. Yeah. I have. That's the whole point. My whole thing is, I'm wearing the answer. That's the whole point. What I just deciphered prophecy is the whole thing, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The whole thing is what I say. That I remember. That's what I'm saying. That means that's what I'm saying. I already do trip. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole. That's the whole point. I can't like I that's the whole point. I like really. That's the important thing. See the mark. That's the whole thing. I already do see the mark. That's the whole point. I see tomorrow, and when it's okay. Yeah, that is. This video needs to be rewatched and deciphered. This thing. I have that's the just we've tried this one, this direction, this decipher. We've tried this. And I fucking tell you, I implore, will we stop trying this because it's true. It works. It works. It's the whole. Because that is the whole purpose. That's the whole point. Original time travel. The original time travel. I'm wearing the whole point. I'm wearing the whole point. When I said that, fucking cipher.
I mean, if we see what the name Astra means, it shows trailblazers, torchbearers, researchers, teachers, and they are who show others the way. They are leaders, motivators, and idealistic visionaries who are aware of their own innate powers. Lucifer was often personified as a male figure bearing a torch. A popular Latin phrase derived from astrum is arcanum arcanorum, literally translating to mystery of mysteries or secret of secrets. And it means the one ultimate secret supposed to lie behind all astrology, alchemy, and magic. Everything, every avenue I can find with this one name connects to everything the master is. It ties all previous mentioned, utterly staggering how this name hasn't come around yet. But maybe now is the time. Even if my top 3 contenders turn out to be untrue, I really do think his name will be at least derived from one of them. And with the digging I've done, I am 100%.
Let's see, it's a death thing. That's the whole point. One possibility of me dying and going somewhere wrong. It's the other purpose of it. Oh, I'm talking legit stuff, not make believe stuff for this anxiety to like be corrupted on the delightful approach. So recap. So people, if they're stupid, I'm just saying it has still occurred. That's all I need to do is pull this back up. That's all I need to say. I'm just saying. What are they trying to accomplish? The more I find out every day, I'm the original time traveler. No one's documented before me. It starts with me. That's the whole point. I stopped doing stupid stuff. That's the whole point. They're not taking me astray anymore. I am the same. Dude, Raphael, that's the whole point. I talk about this stuff on a actual level. Yeah, I stick to what I know to be true of a truth, and I don't deal with that petty disagreements within it. Like I stick to what I keep saying is truth, like the healing and stuff, and that's also within my astral sign, and I'm just saying I stick to that. I know that one, and when I say I know everything. That's like it's not like too late for me, or like that's what I'm saying. It's not too late for me. That's the whole point. Like, what are they trying to allude at? Like, it's not too late for me. I keep hitting home with the fact that they think I'm dead. Like, is that what happens? Is it just people keep trying to whisper to make people think that they're dead so they finally die or something and their spirit's out of their body or something like that? Is that something? Is that a real occurrence? Because I'm not dead. I know everything. Like, I see tomorrow. I live forever. Carved it into a stick. It makes me live forever, and then I break it, and then I start aging again. And then I go into heavenly ways. I made something so side base from demonic. It's not even funny. Not something for somebody to say for me to like, yo, I just live for that period of time. So I see those events. See, this is those misconstrusions. So it's real quick, real quick. I live forever. And I break the stick and then I start aging again. What possibility? Me breaking a stick. That's the whole point. What possibility? What possibility? It's charged by the fact that it's all like fucking real. Like that's all it is. All real. My crafts, all of it's charged by that alone. It's charged by that alone. I carved it into a stick. All I gotta do is break that stick. That's all I do. And I showed it on camera. It's a blink and you'll miss it. Part of the craft too, of how I carved it and what state it was in when I carved it. All I gotta do is break it, and then I start aging again. What possibility of me breaking it? And then like I just like sort this out. I go to heavenly ways. Like that's like all it is. I made it with the healing aspects. Yes, I did. Yeah, I made it with all the healing aspects. And I started saying like Lord of Slumber and stuff like that. I made it with all of that aspect in mind. Um and I understand all of like that what I just like went through. I understand all of that. Like the concept of time, the bringer of light, the truth, the seeker of darkness and light, and the balance in the yin yang. And I understand all of it from this. And I escape those misconstructions. And I still keep this. I don't break it. I don't break it. I'm here for a long time. Maybe they didn't like expect that on it. Maybe they did it as a gift. On like this whole aspect, like what possibility of me breaking it? Like it was made by like this whole thing being real. So like um so now we're back on that outline how I said it on like the Decipher of Kingdom Hearts, but then like going over to the Sandman analysis and the guy living forever and the Phoenix equation of it, and like how my my stick it's like made to look like a wing, like the feather in the phoenix. So I just like I just stopped aging, and then I keep bigger, and then I start aging. um, it's like how's it a life for life? That's the whole point. Like how am I like? It's not even life for life magic. It's not even life for life magic. It's just this whole idea, inspiration. It just sparks in like I definitely live for a very long time. A very long time. A very long time. My stuff is very I live for a very it's not even a personality. That's the whole thing. Like well, I stay silent. I'm a professional time traveler. I have like this guidance and remembrance, this kind of like I have like that. I have this kind of practice. This kind of practice. I kind of stay silent. Just so happens I got my that's the whole point. I just so happen that my these yeah, and I just so happen to have like my energy. Like I just so happen to have like an unspeakable like energy about me. I just so happen. Oh, and I wrote down that and it just will not like just happen right in the minute variable. And on the possibility. Like, it's a realistic possibility. I'm not making another one. This is the whole purpose of you getting the fuck up. I don't know why you think this your guys' power. That's going to disappear. And that's one point. I make crafts that I steer and direct. That's the whole point, master of the universe. That is what I am. This ain't like up for dibs to direct me on my direction. Try it. It's like Dormomo, and you understand a fiddle. Some people in the afterlife will already tell you. Those are kind of some tales that they can say. Leave me alone. Like it's all. That's real quick. Leave me alone. That is the whole point. Like I don't do fiddles. I don't say riddles. I've been hindered for a long time. And so now harmful magic doesn't affect me. I'm just saying, It's the correct progression in the era that is coming about in the world. I have this all like I have like it all like on it. It's my outline. It's my world, and it's just like that. It's just like that. It's not even too late for me. It's wow, I'm going to heaven. See, it's just like that. The same destination that you're trying to like it seems like take me, it's gonna work out. I just like this is my world and I go to heaven. I go to heaven. I go to heaven and this is my world. This is it's the whole point. It's the whole point. Like it's just it's that easy. Like in between on these like, that's the whole point. Like I know what this next day is, and then like I'm saying this conversation has happened before, and I'm just saying that's the point that no. Oh, the original. Leave me the fuck alone. They keep like trying to bounce around in like somebody else's like space. Like, leave me alone. Leave me alone. I made the formula. I made like everything. And this is why there's no room for error. That got me to this point, and I'm just saying stop. I'm saying stop. That's what I'm saying. My formula spot on. The whole point of it is I don't want to do political power movements. I just want to be here for a full time. And it's like I'm here for like all time. So I'm just saying. Like I flourish this power, I become a superhero. Like yeah, I become a superhero. I become a superhero doing mind stuff. And right, like that's the whole point. I mastered this power, so mastered the concept. I mastered the concept. Time travel. I mastered it. And so like then now in eulogy, I've mastered it. What point of it? Is it all okay? And see, that's So point, no version of me out there is ever being hunted. That's the whole point. It's the whole point. No version of me out there is being hunted. So, one behind you. So now I can look behind me and I see my head. And that's an astral. That's astral projection, seeing myself like behind myself and like that. Still being in waking though. The whole point is I'm not dead. That's the whole fucking point. Talking about if I don't really able to do that. I'm just saying I don't know what you guys are experiencing. I'm saying I have a thing that like makes it all okay. Like I go to heaven. That's all. I go to heaven. Raphael, like that's the whole point. Like I stick by the angels. Angels. While I say this dark stuff because I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm like the only one in history era as correct as I am, because on the aspect of what I'm talking about, what's here is like what came from this and the learning curve, and like what I'm talking about is like something up. And so when I say connecting with this and on the aspect of something dark up here trying to like bitch and bicker, and I'm saying I'm like above it all. I'm like up here above the bitching and bickering, and I'm so doing this and bringing that like logical thinking up like this, and I'm just like saying I can do time travel, and I'm just then now eulogy in this like will, the will, the fabrics and destiny, not the spiral. And it's kind of what I mean. I like talking about it, waiting for an honest conversation. Waiting for an honest conversation. I like talking about it. And then the light. The light. What did I think about all the time? Okay. Getting things settled and stuff. And stuff. Alright. It's a good chronicle on this.
Gemini, I need a nickname.
Okay, maybe the Clutch Queen.
No, thank you.
Or the Human Highlight Reel.
No,
How about the GOAT?
that makes sense.
Yeah. You score like crazy, and your defense is
Chocolate hidden between delicate cookies. Wow, these are.
Alright, let's see what the topic is. It's the concept what lies beneath the skin and the scenes in the mind's ideas and sparkings and inspirations, ideas and starting about a kind of light in the dark, about a kind of veil and an idea start. What is like life behind us? Concept and then sinks in about a kind of a passage and an echo about a notion that is like a note that hard to let go, or about a kind of concept and a kind of craft and like on documentation's sake, about a kind of like an idea start, about a kind of start and a spark and hidden in art, about a kind of concept and a construction you see, about what is like underneath the veil and speak, about a kind of an organization, about a construction and design and saying, about a kind of I'm recording about what is like an animus or like an ancestral design and a plot and a form, about what is a line and a thread and a graph and a historic that it meant, about what is like data reconstructed, about what is life and echo, and then notions about what is like stable. So again, it's just like what I mean about like the ideas apocalyptic, a scene about what is just like the life and an idea spark, and then like what the morrow brings, and then hidden in art about a construct and communion, see about an idea, time and passage, and speak about a kind of an historic make, about an idea in an inspiration sight, about what is like a remembrance, and I just simply see, and like time and I and hills have eyes and sensation, about a certain kind of vibration. So it's just the kind of concept spark with the flourish note about a kind of concept that I know.